Hey, I'm Ale.
And I'm Andre.
We're both facilitators.
And we do things a bit differently.
These are our memoirs.
And we want you to be a part.
We hope you enjoy this episode.
This is Facilitators Memoirs, where we break the rules and make the magic happen. The art of guiding chaos into clarity, turning dead-end discussions into breakthroughs, and making collaboration actually work. Sounds interesting? Then come join us. Let's get disruptive.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see and listen to everyone once again.
Yeah, nice to be here. Where are we, Ale?
Well, today we are once again a little bit outside, with an interesting weather outside. Not too summer, not too winter, but pretty much in between. Enjoying very nice pasta, pizza, and ready to have a nice conversation today with you, Andre.
Wait, sorry, I wasn't listening for a moment. Can you repeat that?
Andre, I just said the most important part of the podcast and you were not paying attention.
I got distracted. Something that you said had me thinking about other things. You know, I got a little bit sidetracked with my thoughts. And I was trying really hard to listen.
You do notice that this is basically what we talk about in this podcast. I'm sorry, dear listeners. This doesn't happen very often. But Andre got sidelined over here. What happened, Andre?
Look, listening is hard sometimes. Don't you agree?
I would say it's true. It's hard to listen. But listen to me. I'm saying something very important. I mean, I am important. Yeah. What I say is very important. Yeah. You should be listening. What happened?
But don't you think that for me, it's sometimes more important what's going on in my head and the thoughts I'm having than listening to you and what you're saying?
Oh.
But hold on. Uh-huh. What does this have to do with our podcast? We're talking about listening. We're talking about not paying attention. Why? What does this have to do with facilitation?
Well, I think it's very connected to the fact that we as human beings have like this need or this understanding that what we're saying or what we bring to the table is always very important. And we want other people to pay attention to us when we're saying it or when we're doing something, right? Mm-hmm. But in reality, the one thing that we never think about is how the other person is thinking about, which you just made me also realize, Andre. Yeah. I never think about the other side from that point of view. You just told me that, right?
Look, you were looking at me as you were talking.
Yeah.
Did you know I wasn't listening?
I did see your body language going a little bit to the sides, looking at the other direction. But I was kind of like, we had a podcast. You were paying attention. I thought you were there.
And we just started. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. I'm back on track now. I'm back on track now. I'm here. I'm listening. Awesome. I'm present. Okay. Yeah. But it's interesting because this is something that we thought about after our last episode. Yeah. When we were talking about shifting perspectives and things like that. Sure. And the example that I gave in that episode was I did a workshop for teachers on how to better put themselves in the perspectives of students. Yep. And one of the things that was most important was also listening to the students. And that was something that I really wanted to focus on as well. And after our last episode, we got to talking and we thought maybe we could do a whole episode just on listening.
Actually, it could be like 10,000 episodes just about a topic because it's so important, right? We might be having this first one, but there's more.
We start today.
We start today, exactly.
We see where it goes. Yeah. But it's such an important concept that has so many dimensions that we thought let's take some time to talk about it. And just to kind of give it a little bit more structure because listening, it's such a big thing and people might be, confused at where are we going with all of this, right? In a facilitation process, right? We are there as the facilitator and we have our participants.
True.
And we've been through this a lot, that there's parallels to if you're working in a team and you're a manager, right? And you're kind of guiding the process as the manager and the people in the team are the participants, so to say. And maybe it's not as separated, but...
Yeah, but facilitating processes for conversations or discussions for other people, even if they are your team, if they are part of your participants, if it's a workshop, you're basically just making sure that everyone is on board with what you're doing, right?
Well... What I'm trying to say is there's two components to the listening within our facilitation framework, right? Just to give it a little bit more clarity. Yeah. I, as a facilitator, am listening. Yeah. I'm listening to the room. I'm listening to the participants. Right. I'm listening to myself when I'm speaking, right? Yeah. So I am an active listener in the process. Yeah. Then the participants are speaking and listening to me, to each other, to the noises in the room. They are active listeners. So to me, I kind of think about it in two perspectives. It's me being the listener and it's the others listening.
Yeah, because there's no active person that is doing it or a receiver is actually coming in the two directions every single time.
So it has these two directions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you put this nicely, right? So what are these two directions?
Yeah.
Can you maybe explain that just shortly?
Yeah, like basically you are bringing something to the table, but then you are bringing that to the table so that another person can also catch it and then build on top of that.
Yeah.
Not just basically diverge and go to a different direction, but use the information that I brought to the conversation and try to build on top of that, whether I agree, I disagree, there's something that I can tell about it, and so on and so forth.
But is that what happens most of the time?
Not all the time. Most of the time something different
happens. Not in my line of work.
That's true. Not in our line of work.
Not necessarily when you're working with kids and youth,
yes.
I must say. Something that I witness there more often than not is somebody's really excited to share something, right? For example, we're getting back to school soon,
yeah.
right? And then it's the classic, the first time I see the kids again, or the youth, how was your summer?
Yeah.
Tell me about your summer, right? So somebody starts telling about their summer.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's a nice story. They traveled, they went to Italy, whatever.
Whole story.
It's nice,
yeah.
right? As soon as that young person stopped talking, the next person begins with their story.
And then it's a different place.
But nobody is interacting with what the other person said. It's like, oh, I thought that was really interesting that you went to Italy. I've been there before too. What was your favorite food there?
For example, connecting a little bit like the idea of what you just said.
They're not
exactly
connecting
they're
the
not
idea.
connecting.
And that's something that I, as a facilitator, have to manage, because that's not creating a connective conversation.
Yeah.
That's
and maybe
very isolated conversation points that are kind of strung together, but it's not creating this communication line that's together. Yeah. And it's also not, as you described before, the ideal for us as facilitators is somebody says something, I've listened to you, I will now interact with what you said. I will build on it, I will touch on it, I will add on to it. That's not what's happening.
And maybe this is a good moment also to once again give a little bit of frame when we're talking about listening, because the part of listening and the active listening is very complex, right? You said it also at the beginning. Did you observe what I was doing when you were not paying attention? Right. That is true.
Right.
There is the part of not observing. So there's eyes, there's listening, there's the way that you're saying things, the way that you're discussing. So active listening includes a whole package of things that does not just say what you are saying and what you're listening. It's also the way that you're saying and you're listening to everything. That's also what you were saying. If the person is not actively being there, you can see it not only from the person not listening to you, but also the way that the person is present there for you, right?
Right. The body language and all of it. And for me, it's my example with the youth, the kids and the youth describing their summer vacation. Yeah. To me, it's evident that they're not listening to each other.
They're looking at different places.
Yeah, they're basically, that's how it works. It's one kid is saying their turn, and everybody else is doing something else in that time.
And waiting for their turn.
Exactly. And they're already in their head preparing. I remember as a kid I did this. I would prepare what I wanted to say while the others were talking.
Forgetting about it.
Right? If you asked me what did the person before me say,
I have no idea.
Maybe or probably would not have been able to answer that, right? So,
and that's quite interesting, because that's something that also happened a lot in school, right? Like we are prepared for saying our part, but we're not being trained to listen to the part of the other. That's something that we have to learn when we are a little bit of adults afterwards, right?
Right.
And it's more complicated if we didn't practice when we were kids.
Right. We as human beings have a need to be heard and to share our experiences.
Yeah.
Right. I guess it's a way of us interacting with the world.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be learned to do what we're talking about, to engage in somebody else, to really truly active listen and care about it. Or even if I don't care, pretend to care, or at least touch on it to give that person the feeling
empathy.
That at least there was some kind of me caring enough to at least mention something you said.
And it's very relevant that you're going in that direction, because what happens when we're teenagers and when we're kids is a reflection of what is going to be happening then afterwards when we're at work, right? When we are at work, we are just basically a reflection of everything that we learned and everything that we discussed also when we were kids. I see it very often also when we're working with teams, working with corporates, with people that are already in very high
business setting,
in business settings, right?
With adults, with grown adults,
and it's incredible.
Are they better at this? Are they better? They are
not. They are not. It's actually listening to you is just basically seeing exactly the same patterns, but just with grown-ups that are still like a little bit like little children in some cases, right? Why? Because sometimes even the legitimacy of my authority, my level of my authority or my position in the company makes me think that I have more knowledge or I have more something to say on the table, or I have to be saying something more than everyone else, right? And there is like this feeling once again of the teacher and the student. I have more knowledge, I have to bring it to you. And then also like the position also of a manager or a senior person, I have to be the one who knows the more. And in reality, when you see it a little bit more with people that are more veteran in their positions, you start understanding that they notice that it's not so much about what I say in the meeting, but how much I can listen to other people and then basically help the person also understand something from my experience,
that's an interesting perspective on leadership, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people approach leadership in the sense of like, I need to come in and I need to command the room and I need to say certain things and these are our objectives and I need to motivate.
Yeah.
And that's like a leadership style that I think is omnipresent. I think that's the majority of people lead that way,
and
right?
A totally valid leadership style that many people use because it works for them. But the fact that it works for them doesn't mean that it works for everyone, right?
But I would question its effectiveness.
Yeah.
And in contrast to the style that you were mentioning, that you come into the room as the leader and you listen. Maybe you ask certain questions and you see how the team responds and you're listening and you're soaking up. And then ideally, you're factoring that into the decision-making process,
exactly.
right? So that the decision that you've made at the end, if you are in a decision-making process, reflects the things that were said from your team. So I as a team member, hear what I said in the decision that was made.
The reflection
and
of what I said, exactly.
Boosts my motivation. That makes me really feel like I've been heard and I'm a valuable part of the team, and the effect that has is huge, right?
Exactly what you were saying, because that's basically what happens. Like you can differentiate between two different meanings in very diverse settings, right? The leader or the manager that comes and say like, we are in a very difficult situation and this is basically what we're going to be doing. Yeah. And then everyone gets in the mood of, okay, we have to fix something. There's a problem. We have to fix it.
Right.
And we're going to do it the way the leader or the manager is saying, right? Or the facilitator is also saying. Like we could also put it in the setting of a workshop. But then we also have the other style of, we have the situation and the manager comes and says like, I'm going to explain you the situation in which we are, and I'm going to shut up right now and please give me answers. Like what can we do? And then you listen to every single perspective from every person, from their point of view and their expertise, and then the solution is going to be built based on everyone. And as you were saying, everyone feels more engaged to participate and to do that or to make the solution happen because they were included in the process of actually creating that solution, right? So listening gives also like that extra value of making people feel included in the process, right? Making people feel heard, making people feel more empathy around the situation, and then feeling like, okay, I'm going to really participate in this because it's not a problem from Andre now, it's a problem from all of us, and we're going to take it because we want to collaborate, right? We want to help. That makes a whole lot of a difference. But also in cases where, for example, in the meeting or in the room, there are people that are thinking or understanding things in a divergent way, that they are understanding things in a different way, right? So it's also a very important moment also for us to put something on the table, right? And there's no way that anyone understands 100% what another person is saying. Every human being is a world.
You're always looking at it from a different perspective.
Exactly. So you might be having the intention to say something, and the words that you chose, the way that you did it, the position of the eyes of everyone in the moment is going to change the message. So we have to understand that messages are always going to change no matter what. So all we can do is kind of improve a little bit like the systems that we create for ourselves and for others so that the listening can actually improve, right? How do I make sure that when I'm saying something, people are receiving the information as I want it, as close as possible? And how do I make sure that when somebody is telling me something, I can use a system also to make sure that I can register what the person is saying?
Okay, but let's stop there for a moment, because I think there's a practical tip here for the listeners, perhaps, if they're interested. How do you make sure somebody's understanding what you're trying to say, right? If I'm just saying something to you, I have no idea how you are interpreting it.
That's true, exactly.
And I think it's one of the common problems people have, regardless of age, regardless of setting, is I've said something and I assume you understood it the way I said it, the way I meant it. Yeah. But that doesn't happen all the time. Maybe it even rarely happens, right? So what is a very practical and simple method to circumvent that? What I like to do, whether it's in my private life or in a workshop or whatever situation, facilitation situation, is to repeat basically you've said something to me.
To paraphrase it.
I will paraphrase it. I will give it back to you in short form, the way I understood it. Yeah. And that gives you the opportunity to say, yes, exactly, that's what I meant. Or, no, this is...
To refine it.
Right. This part you understood me a bit wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, that is very connected. Like paraphrasing is one of the techniques that is very simple and very useful for active listening. And you will see, if you Google it a little bit around, that's like the tips are very simple and they look like very logical, but the thing is practicing them, they make it takes time, right? The second one that is very often used, and we all often use it also in trainings, is not only paraphrasing but also asking questions, right? Like also following up. So you said something like this, can I ask something more to see if I really understood what you meant? And then growing a little bit on top of that. So questioning, asking questions, asking critical question that could be based on what you were saying also, right?
And that has a double effect because it's clarifying that I understood what you said, but it's also signaling to you that I've listened to you.
That I'm engaged, exactly, that I'm there with you.
And that, I think, is a really underestimated factor in working with people. Yeah. When people feel like they're heard through, for example, these tips that we're giving. I mean, these are methods that we both have been using for a long time, and it works very well. They are automatically more engaged. They're more motivated. They're more present, and they're also we've created a setting by doing this where they want to listen more. They're more motivated to listen because they know that when I say something, you are making an effort to hear me. Yeah. And if not, we can discuss whether or not you understood it correctly.
I mean, the other important part with active listening is something that we have discussed very often with facilitation altogether. To really be present, or when you are present in a conversation, in a discussion, you start noticing some little body language things, the way that the person is leading to you, the way the person is listening to you. And then every technique or every tip that Andrea and I could be giving all of you, our dear listeners, and everyone that is with us right now, has to be adjusted to the moment and the situation, right? Yeah. So questioning could be more useful in this moment. Paraphrasing could be more useful. There are some people that are like, yes, I just said that, so don't paraphrase me.
Sure, they get offended by it.
So they get offended by that, exactly. So they want more, the questioning works a little bit more. So it's more about practicing, understanding with whom you are speaking, how do they understand your techniques and the way that you use them to make it organic and natural, right?
I think those are great tips for the facilitator perspective.
Exactly.
And maybe going back to my example with the kids in the holiday, right? Yeah. So every kid is just saying what they did during their holidays, right? Yeah. And nobody is listening to each other and everybody just has their own agenda. Yeah. I would say that if you want to improve personally being a better active listener is try to go into conversations not so focused on your own thoughts and agendas.
Exactly.
If you have certain things you want to say, maybe take a piece of paper and write them down you don't lose track of them.
That's right.
That's also a very good tip for somebody who's maybe a little bit more scatterbrained, neurodivergent, very easily distracted, losing thoughts, jumping around. As we had in the squirrels distraction episode as well. Yeah. Writing down is a good way of kind of taking that out of your mind.
What questions, what did I understand from what the person said, so on every information
that
it was
taking notes in between, right?
Any system that works for you.
But I think that would make a lot of conversation a lot better and a lot smoother.
True.
Is if people went into conversation less with their own agenda. It's the classic thing, you're at a party and somebody is just waiting to say what they want to say. They're not even listening to you, they don't care, and then they just say something, and sometimes even it's a completely different topic, but they just bring it in because they've just been waiting to say this one thing.
And you can notice, like those moments are very interesting because it's like you notice that the person is not there with you, the person just wanted to say that, so you have to stop everything and just listen to the person, right?
And then that person often gets offended when you don't respond to that, when you don't engage with that,
because it was not the momentum.
Actively listen to what they just said,
exactly,
not being aware of the fact that they haven't been actively listening the whole time.
Exactly.
Right? So it's a very hypocritical kind of topic as well with the listening, right?
But like having that agenda of serving others or paying attention more to what the other person was saying is always going to create also like a bridge for every conversation to sound more smooth. That's basically how we human beings also understand a conversation being more smoothly, like in transition, because there's one thing that takes to the other topic and to the other topic and to the other topic, right? So understanding a little bit like that fluency or that flow of a conversation helps a lot the process, right?
Exactly, and it has connection points with all the other topics we've already touched on in previous episodes, because how do you get people more engaged? How do you avoid distractions? How do you shift perspectives and get people more interactive? How do you work more as a group and as a team? well, this active listening is really a key component.
Yes,
like it unlocks a lot of potential. Like
that's why it's a fundamental.
It's a very human, fundamental topic, and that's why I think it's beautiful. And maybe this is a fantastic transition because it has absolutely nothing to do with it, but we do have to mention it before.
You notice it, right? Exactly.
Thank you so much for actively listening to us today.
Actively listening with us today, yes.
We hope that there's some nice tips that you could take away, and also some. I would imagine there was a lot of nodding moments we gave people today. A lot of moments where people are nodding and going, "Oh yeah,
makes sense."
I have a situation in my head. I just recently experienced this, or I have this with my kids, or whatever. Yeah. And I think. We touched on a lot of different topics, and we'll have to get back to listening as a topic for the podcast. Yeah. But before we forget, we have a big announcement, which we touched on last time as well.
That's right, exactly. Let's go back to it.
We have a very specific event
coming up
in October. We don't have the date yet, unfortunately, but we will be clarifying that shortly. Yeah. But keep your eyes and ears open. Actively listen.
Actively listening to our announcements.
With your eyes, ears, whatever
because we
have.
Want to actively have you engage with us. That's exactly why we're doing this.
Yes, we want you to be there present at a recording. Yeah. And we want you to share this experience with us. And we want to have an event where our fans and anybody who's curious and interested can come, listen to a recording. We're going to do a live recording, and then afterwards we're going to have food. Yeah. Of course, there's going to be food.
It has to be food. That's the base of it.
Today there was a delicious Italian food.
It could be any type of food for that day.
Who knows what it's going to be that day, but there's going to be food, and it's going to be delicious because that's our standard. And,
it has to be good. It has to be good.
And then there's going to be great conversation, and we will do our best at this event to actively listen to our fans and engage, and hopefully they will be able to do the same.
I mean, that's why it was so connected also to the topic and what we're going to be doing, because we want to actually have a conversation, not a monologue only from our side. Yeah. We love to have conversation between the two of us, but we just notice also that our conversation is growing with the fans, so we have to also make sure that we include them, right?
For sure, and I really am excited about the potential of meeting them personally and having personal conversations.
Seeing your pain points, what is important.
Social media or indirectly, and really get to know them and get some feedback, and also, I don't know, get to know the people who are interested in what we have to provide.
And why are you interested in us? We want to know. It's important for us to know.
Yeah, and I think that we will learn so much as well, and we'll have topic ideas that were recommended to us, and I'm really looking forward to the event. So we're going to be announcing that shortly, so pay attention, actively
be there with
listen,
us. And
join us.
And talking about being present in the moment and in the situation, you should be here with us, our dear listeners. We are under the rain, starting to finishing the podcast, and just noticing the first drops of rain in the middle of summer of Berlin are starting to fall. So I think it's a very good moment also to say bye to everyone.
And anybody who's been a little bit more experienced with active listening may have heard us kind of rushing a little bit as well at the end to kind of finish. And we have an announcement and we got to wrap it up a little bit. And yes, that is rain related.
That's because it's rain related. Exactly.
Nature is listening to us and saying it's a good time to finish. You've got everything you need for today. Here's a little bit of
nature is saying this is the moment, guys. Like, this is the moment.
That's it.
Guys, we're really happy to be with you. We're really happy we hope that we brought you something just to think about. We don't want to expand the whole topic today, but like Andrew was saying, I think active listening is something that we're going to be touching upon like very often a little bit later on, but this is a very good starting point altogether for the topic altogether. So happy to be with you, and thank you very much for listening.
Thanks for listening. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.